tank open. This is the Marineland kit, 20 gallon. Basically everything, perfect little setup. Not too big, not too small for a quarantine tank. And yes, it's on my table here. I'm in an apartment, so deal with it. Temporary setup. And inside of here, let's get out the goodies. It comes with a Marineland 20 gallon bio well filter, which will help with the filtration. So basically I have some media already in these Reef that I'm going to replace the sponge and what. That's going to get my bacteria going and also work for surface for the tank duration. Inside we got a 100-watt heater, LED, and of course the lid. Right now, in a quarantine, guys, you probably never ever want to use. Now you can, but at some point I will be treating these fish with some type of copper or some type of treatment. Now, once you do that with a regular tank, normally from that point on, that quarantine tank is used nothing but for quarantine use. There are some additives out there you can buy that supposedly will remove the copper and all that from the actual tank. But to be honest with you, in these cheaper tanks and these seals here, really not worth it. So this will be a standalone quarantine tank from this moving forward. With that, I will put in some PVC pipe stuff inside the tank that will allow hiding spots. But what I won't put is gravel and that type of stuff inside the tank. I want to keep the tank as clean as possible, as sterile as possible. I want to maintain the parameters, and I basically wanted to have the medications that I want inside there. Starting off, I have to do some type of bacterial introduction to basically to get the tank ready for fish. And I have something I bought somewhere. I'll find it. But when we get to that, we get to that. So now basically what I'm doing is we'll go ahead and unpack the Marineland, the filter, get it hung, mount the heater, and show you what I do next. So far I got the heater mounted. Now I mount my heaters towards the bottom. I noticed just from previous experience, I've been doing this many years, is that when you mount a heater vertical, especially adding new fish, like I plan on having some nice sized tanks in here, that it becomes a little skittish and they can tend to knock it down. So also it's a glass heater, guys, it's not ceramic. So I mount it vertically. It's less chance this way for the fish to basically run into it. One thing I noticed that this has some type, I guess it's a flow indicator in here. I'm gonna leave this wide open. I'm not really sure what this is. I have to read. This is the bio wheel, so I will use the bio wheel. I'm not going to use any other type of floss or filtration. I might put some floss in here just to kind of do some mechanical filtration, but I'm going to pack this with some existing media I have that's bacteria ready. And I ran all the wires pretty clean to the left hand side. Now this is just a quarantine tank. It's not here to be pretty or nothing like that. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add water. Now, how am I going to add water? Am I going to use RO water? No, I'm not. It's a quarantine tank. I'm going to fill it with tap water. I'm going to treat the tap water, and I'm going to mix the salt in the actual aquarium with a power head. Probably the most cost-effective way of doing it. Now, if this was a quarantine tank for coral, of course, RO water. We want to keep everything intact. I don't introduce any. If this was a quarantine tank, I wouldn't want to introduce any algae because there's no algae at all. Not at piece of nothing inside this tank. I also ran a refugium down there. But if this was I don't have to worry about that. Now, eventually, as it's going and I do water changes, I'm going to, at some point, do the water change with the water I take out of the Reef to kind of get them used to the same system, because ultimately they're going to end up in the same 110 together. So now I'm going to fill this tank here with approximately 20 gallons of tap water. Treat the tap water, put it in the appropriate soap. I use Tropic Marine. put a power head in, and let it mix so it becomes clear. At that point, I am going to turn on and check. I'm going to check it for salinity. Get about 102.5. At that point, I'm going to turn on the heater. I'm going to turn on the bio wheel. Let it run without floss. Let it circulate. Continue to run. I'm going to add my instant bacteria cycling that I add. Then I'm going to wait a couple hours. Then I'm going to add the media from my sump that I have that's going to introduce the active bacteria required to cycle this tank. Get up and running, and I should be ready to go. So I hit you back. Now I'm going to add the water. I'm not going to show you that, you know, pour water in the tank, blah, blah, blah. Add the salt, take it from there. All right, so we're down in the storage. That's where I keep all my salt supplies at. Yeah, all this, man. Don't. So, truth be told, I have some rock. I got about easily 50 pounds of Tongan branch rock. Now, this is the rock way back when they used to sell actual live rock. This is real Tongan branch rock, straight from the reef. This is back in the day before they had all this fake rock and stuff. You know, you bought real rock. It was like $6 a pound, which is a lot of money about 20 years ago. Have the same rock to the day, and every now and then it get hot. You can still let the rock let you know it's living. You still get a little funny, but it shouldn't have it. But so I think I got something right. Look, see, I got something till this day. Actually, I might put a piece of this real rock in the tank to help it cycle. And before I put any copper or anything in there, at that point I remove the rock. Anyway, let's get my salt. I need this here. And this is the salt I use. I use Pro Reef Tropic Moran. Best stuff you can buy, man. It operates like that. I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need some here. I'm gonna go put this back in the reef and seed it for the next couple of weeks. I already have some. This is the meat that's already in the reef, but I'm gonna add some more. Replace what I'm taking out. And let's get down these big dumping bins. 1 second. And I'm gonna need this pump. Mix up. Oh, there we go. Put that in there. Need that pump to mix up the water in the tank. And I bring in that salt. And I think that's all I need. I got a S150 right there. This is the Apex. I got all kind of dosers in here. Guys, I got some stuff in here, man. I got a whole nother 40. Oh, here, right here. Here's the tank right here. Look at this, guys. Plexiglass already drilled and everything. I think this is like a 50-gallon right here. I probably could have used this as my damn quarantine tank now that I think about it. Huh. Okay, anyway. Money spent. Let's go ahead and put this back up. Go upstairs. And show you what we do next. Guys, check this out. Now, what I'm going to show you here is about 20 years old. All right, so this here is rock. This is live rock. This is about 20 years old. This is real Tongan reef rock from the reef. They no longer let you to export this, but this is the real stuff. Now, this here, believe it or not, in water, this shit smells horrible. For about 3 weeks, that's the same rock. From this grew that. That's the advantage of having a real rock. Now, there's a downside to that. I don't know what's going to come out of here. I get all kind of shit. Parasites. It's amazing. Not parasites. It's amazing the stuff that grows from this to this that is still somehow embedded within this rock. So, what I'm going to do is, this just smells, I don't know. Just keep, I took this up my sump about 3 weeks ago. And, because I wasn't going to use it, but I think it'd be great to seed this tank. As long as I don't add copper to it, it'd be great because I want to reuse this. So I'm going to take this to seed the tank to get the biological filtration going, the biofilter, bio wheel, and before it actually add fish. Well, I can add fish with it too, it'd be great. But before I start treating with any kind of copper or medication, I'm going to remove that rock because that copper would definitely affect that. And at that point, that tank could be contaminated, and it's just a quarantine tank. Now, I told you I'm using tap water only for this, guys. No RO water. I have an RO unit, but I'm not going to base it. I'm going to use tap water only because it's a fish-only tank. I'm going to treat the tap water, dechlorinate it, and I'm going to use it in a second. But give me time to fill the jugs up and to fill the tank up. I'll be back. Remember, I'm taking media out, so while that water's filling up, I'm going to replace the media I'm taking out, and I'm going to put some more in to kind of give me, that's the old media, to get it started so that I can eventually add it back. And water's filling up here, and I'll be back. So, got the tank full. You know what's interesting is that normally you test a tank to make sure that it's no leaks and everything. You pre-fill it before you actually put it in like right location. I never do that for a quarantine tank. It sucks that thing starts leaking. Anyway, it's not bad luck itself. So you see I have a pump here. I'm going to use this for circulation for the salt when I put in. I'm going to use this here I found. Quick start. Allows instant addition of fish. Immediately cycles the aquarium. So I'm going to add a cup, whatever the measurements of this is to this tank. Couldn't hurt. I'm going to start up the actual circulating pump. Then I'm going to add the right amount of tropic marine salt. It's 1/2 cup per every gallon. So that's 10 cups, 20 gallons. About so. This is a little less, probably about 8.5 cups. I'll take a measurement. And then once that's up and running, we're going to turn on the heater. We're going to check it for temp. Once it gets close to where it should be, at that point, we're going to introduce my media from my reef and my live rock and just let it run until we find some fish we want to add. Check it out. All right, so it says for 10 gallons of water, 1 cup fill for every 20 gallons. That's 2 cups full. It says for salt water to double, so that'll be 4 cupfuls. Let's see if I can do this without making a big mess. So it's 1. 2. 3. 4. And from my experience, just a little extra bacteria couldn't help. 5. Couldn't hurt anything. All right, so we got that going. I got the circulating pump going. Now it's time to add the salt. Guys, I don't skimp on salt. Now, I know you can get away with Instant Ocean and other cheaper brands, but I tend to go with the best salt I can use because I literally got thousands of dollars in coral in this tank. Literally, that OG right there, 450 bucks. All right, got a Walt Disney there. All right, we got a Rainbow Tillis. I got an Aussie Supreme Fabia. I got a Jason Fox Thunderdome. I got a lot of expensive stuff, high-end stuff back here. You know. So I don't skip on salt. Salt to me is kind of like the gas you put in your car. So for this, it says 1/2 gallon, 1/2 cup, excuse me, for every gallon. This is 4 cups. So 4 cups of this is 8 gallons of water. So I'm just going to put this in here. And I want you to see how quickly it dissolves. This is why I use good salt. Check this out, guys. Uh-oh. Now watch this. This is the fastest dissolving salt on the market. Literally. And it's because it's sifted uniformly. Now there's a little residue because I have that in the corner there, but check it out. Look at that. Watch it. There'll be nothing left. We go ahead and add all this real quick. Add it a little softer. Be a little more gentle with it. Give it time to mix. I actually should rearrange the pump a little bit so that it circulates up, but it's okay. Alright, so that's 4 cups. Now let's just watch. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit up. There we go. A little better. Okay. Now let's just watch this clear. Ain't that some shit? It normally clears faster than that. Okay. I think it's because the amount of salt I put in a gallon of water. But let's see. I want to continue to add salt, get back to you, but trust me, it normally clears a lot faster than this. You guys see that, but that water is crystal clear already. Still a little bit, but it's good to go. Now we're going old school with this. Oh, you guys remember these? Trusted thermostat. Let's go ahead and put that in the tank here. It works. And even though I know I got a little more salt to go, I'm gonna go ahead and take a salinity reading just to get an idea where I am. So let's break out the rectimeter. This is the best one to use, guys. I got the other kind, but you can't beat these, all right? So basically what I'm gonna do is gonna take up a dollop of water. We're gonna place it on this here glass. Then we're gonna look through here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can show you guys. This would be cool if I can get this to work. Probably that. Anyway, you look through here, and it gives you an actual reading what it is, 1.5, 1.4, 1.3. I'm going to guess right now we're probably about 1.20, but let's go ahead and check it out. So we'll go ahead and take a little water here. And let's see. Turn it off. I'm going to drop the water here. Now you got to have some good light. I'm going to close this up, aim it towards the light. Oh man, we're at 1.010. We still got a lot to go, which is about right because I added half the salt. So let's go ahead and add the original salt. See, it's best to go slow and add salt because once you add too much, you got to add water and then have to dump this and that'd be a headache. So go ahead and add this. I still know that's not enough. And I'll be back in a couple minutes. Took another reading at 1.15. So I add a little more salt. I want to get to 1.25. So I'm going to take it easy now. I'm not going to use all this. Remember, it's best to be able to add slowly and adjust. Because once you add too much, see I mix it to 1.30. It's a bitch taking out water, adding this is a pain in the ass. So take it slow, no need to rush. And let's check it again in a couple minutes. All right, let's take another reading. .021. I'm close, taking it slow. So once again, I'm gonna take my salt and I'm gonna add about a half a cup. And then do another reading, all right? Thing I want to point out why the salt mix. So I filled the tank up to the border, right? So the tank's up to the border. This is my evaporation line, right? So this tells me when I need to manually add water. Now my Reef tank back here, I got an auto top off that handles that. For this tank, I don't. So anytime I see that it drops below this level, or actually this border here, I'm going to add RO water, not tap water. From this point on, everything is RO. Tap water just to get me an initial fill. All right, I'm gonna add RO water because for those you know, the new guys, that you do not replace evaporated salt water with salt water, because keep in mind the water evaporates, not the salt. All right, so when the water drops here level, to maintain my salinity level, I'm going to add fresh RO water back up to the level, and I should stay stable, right? And remember, salt water, when it evaporates, especially now in California with the hot weather, I'm going to get some evaporation. So water is going to evaporate, especially if I leave the top off. It won't have a cover, but it's not be much evaporation, but evaporation. Refilled with fresh, clean RO water, not salt water, because you fill with salt water, not only are you filling back up to your level, but you're adding more salt. So initially, you're just adding salt to an already tank, which is going to spike your salinity, which is also not great. Now, you see here, it cleared up pretty good, right? And that's why I use this salt, because if you see it, it's real fine, shifted. It's all of the granules are the same size. And that's why this costs about $130 for a bucket. Now I'm going to check salinity again. I should be very close. If I am, then I'm going to go ahead and let it run. Then I'm going to add my rock, and we'll take it from there. Cool. I'm at 102.4. Now, I'm going to leave it alone because I know at 102.4, because it maybe needs another half an hour, an hour to fully dissolve. I'm going to raise about 1/10. I'll be about 102.5 when I get through. Because as you can see, it's clear, but there's still a little bit. Still a little bit there that's going to clear up, get me to the 102.5 I want. Now, at this point, I'm through mixing the salt. I'm going to put all this up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go grab my material from my existing tank. And I'm thinking, guys, so I'm thinking about adding some existing rock here that's going to help in the process, right? Still smells a little, it's a little die off on it, but I think this is going to help feed the bacteria, speed up the process. This along with that instant cycle I bought and the existing material from my tank. Now keep in mind, I will this once I start adding copper to the tank, because this is good rock that I don't want to contaminate. Once you add copper, your tank's no good. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the tank. I'm going to start up I show you start up the biofilter, add my filter, and then we're going to let it run, and we're going to call it a day. All right. Also, when you start up these kind of hang-on back filters, you always want to prime them. Never run them dry. So you want to prime the actual motor compartment and the water holding container with existing water. All right. This helps the cycle and gets it started. You never run them dry, okay? All right, guys, this is from my Reef. It's been in there about 6 months. So I'm going to add this to here to help with biological filtration. Now, you hear that? My wife will kill me if she hear that. So I need to raise the water level just a little because she doesn't want to hear anything because the Reef is silent, all right? So we'll raise the water level just a little. I have the rock in there. So right now there is, so this is actually doing some type of mechanical filtration also, but it's basically there for biological. I'm not going to ever change this. If I take it, I'm going to take it and just rinse it out in the actual salt water itself. But now we're going to go ahead and add the light and turn the heater on and let it go. So this is the actual bio wheel. This wheel actually is going to be the biological filtration. You never want to wash this out, guys. Even when you clean the filter, you do not clean this, okay? You're going to kill all your beneficial bacteria. There it goes. It's running freely. As you can see, I got rid of the sound. I'm eventually going to remove this pump. That's the only thing we hear right now. We go ahead and add the top, and my quarantine tank is running. I'm going to give it about 24 hours just to set in, and we'll be ready to add fish and get ready for the 110. That's going to replace the 70.3. All right, guys, had a little problem with the biofilter. The actual wheel spinning. The motor wasn't set correctly for the manufacturer. Had to reset it. Real simple. Just clicks in the bottom. But here she is. She's running. This is a 20-gallon marine tank. Quarantine. Biofilter. I got a pump to circulation, ready to go. Now, keep in mind that this is actual live rock. I'm only using it right now to help seed the tank cycle of water because I have biofilter media in there. Once I put in fish, I can leave it for a little while, let it go, but once I start treating the tank, if need be, with copper, etc., I will remove this rock because at that point, this rock will become no good. Copper is really bad for any coral reef, any setup. This rock from that point will just be, I mean, it can be dedicated quarantine rock from that point on because it's no good. And this tank, once I treat it with copper or anything, is at that point considered just a quarantine tank because of the seals, etc. Can contain copper. It's not worth risking it. There's medications you could buy to remove copper from a tank, but for the price, it ain't worth it. That's it for OG Reefs and Aquariums. Back in the day, that's the guy. Remember, we're setting this all up because the 70.3 Super Tank, which has incredible growth, by the way, SBS, is going to be replaced by 110. This is for the new babies that's going to go into the 110. I'm Samuel, OG Reefs and Aquariums, and like, subscribe, and help a brother out. Ooh, excuse me. Where we get reefing done the smart way. Not necessarily your way, but the way that works. Remember, in reefing, be patient and consistent, and you'll have success. Doesn't matter if your tank is dirty, keep it dirty. If it's clean, keep it clean. Just be consistent. Your crew will love you in the end. Peace, like, subscribe. OG Samuel, I'm out. Peace.